In potentially what could be the last Div Cup Opens ever, we got some Pollo, Acorn, and Agers trio drama, as well as Pollo full crashing out on Khanada in the middle of this too. We'll start to talk about probably one of the most broken items this game has ever had. We're going to see you start though. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, as we are less than 700 subs away from 110,000 subscribers. If you guys want to support me even more, especially when buying the Squid Game skins, please just use code KDOG in the item shop. Without further ado though, let's start off with the Pollo, Acorn, and Agers drama. Okay, so to kind of summarize how we actually got to this point, in game one of the tournament today, Acorn was basically half trolling Pollo, doing things like taking his loot. I guess they were in some like bad positions and everything, and it led Pollo to end up dying in that game. And then after that, Pollo got pretty upset at Acorn, and he ended up deafening for the entirety of game two, so they had absolutely no comms. And you have to keep in mind, this trio did not qualify for finals yet, and so Pollo completely turning off his comms during game two ended up making Acorn pretty angry, and this is what he went on to say after that.
The second we qual him off, I'm not playing.
Maybe it was anyways.
I mean, if he's gonna be like this again, it's like the 10th time, bro. Shit's so boring. He just insta backed out and he's just deaf and sense. He just always does this. He's a little ass kid. He always cries.
They ended up DMing each other, and Acorn said, "Are you gonna undeafen?" And then Pollo responded with, "Thought we were trolling the tourney." And then Acorn responded, "Bro, obviously not. I literally said I'm done trolling after the first game, and you're just deafened the whole time." And then Pollo said, "Yeah, I got my one troll game in. I'll be back for the next game." And then while they were in the queue for the next game, Khanada ended up entering the chat, and he said, "This is actually so sad. That big baby." And of course, he is referencing Pollo here. Pollo ended up responding to Khanada in the chat, and he said, "If only you knew what your teammates say about you. You don't think you're actually locked in for FNCS with your trio right now, right?" And he did at Khanada once again. I think this honestly helped Pollo get some steam off after that, because the vibes on the trio with Agers, Acorn, and Pollo were pretty good after that, and Pollo was more just crashing out on Khanada.
Jesus Christ, Khanada's just terrible. Thank God they're replacing him soon.
This kind of has just been a concurring thing throughout the trio for Agers, Acorn, and Pollo that I feel like we've really been seeing ever since last season. These guys are really just on and off on when they actually do enjoy playing with each other. I feel like a lot of these problems that they have could be fixed by just having conversations with each other, but most of the time they're always just pretty petty. It seems like the vibes are back to being fine with them right now because Pollo was able to crash out on Khanada. Khanada's trio is literally coming off of winning the first Div Cup, so I think it would be kind of dumb for them to split after that. But this week's Cash Cup Finals is going to be a big determining factor on which trios are going to be sticking till FNCS and who is going to be splitting. Khanada did end up apologizing though for what he said to Pollo. So it looks like Khanada doesn't have any beef with Pollo, and then I think Pollo was mainly just mad because Khanada ended up inserting himself into the drama for no reason. But I mean, to me, this was honestly one of the better held drama situations that we've had in the community. Let's actually move on to everyone that was able to qualify for the finals though. So in first place, we had the trio of Mud, Shadow, and Sphinx. These guys have looked so good since they formed together. They were the only team on either NA or EU to break 1,000 points, finishing with 1,025 points, winning 4 out of their 15 matches, and getting 233 elims as well. This trio was also consistency kings today, getting an average placement of 8.2. This trio finished in 6th place after their first ever Div Cup finals together, and I am only expecting improvement from here from these guys. They are looking like really scary land potential qualifiers. Second place was Yamzo and Higgs. Now we'll talk about them more when I actually make my predictions later on in this video, but I really do think that this is a must-win week for this trio if they are completely uncontested. There is no reason why Yamzo and Higgs, a trio that is probably going to have the best PR on the map, completely uncon, and the two other best teams in the lobby of Peter and Pollo are going to be contesting each other. Yamzo and Higgs should always be the favorites when that scenario is happening, and I am honestly very confident that they're going to be able to win this week. Third place is Noisy's trio on 907. Fourth place in their first NA Div Cup of Phaser, P8, Zen, and King. They finished with 893 points, won 3 out of their 18 matches, and got 217 elims as well. These guys are also hopefully going to be having an uncontested Lone Wolf lair in the finals, so this is going to be the first week where we will really be able to see if they can be a top 10 trio on NA. 5th place was Valek, 6th place was Neko, 7th place was Booga Threats and Craze on 793. I think this is also another very big week for Booga's trio. They are 100% a trio to look out for in a potential snake season. That is if they underperform, of course. 8th place is Takayeshu and Vert, 9th place is iDrop Hari and Cammy. Super cool to see that both Cammy and Seti's brand new trios are both still grinding NA tournaments even though they split with each other. Seti was unfortunately not able to qualify though. And then rounding out the top 10 is the trio trying to go back-to-back in Div Cup wins of Khanada, Rapid, and Bolts. We do have most of our big names in the finals this week though, like 11th place of Reed Cooper and Curly, 12th place of Ritual Cold and Peterbot. And this team continues to look so scary fighting wise. They finished with 742 points in only 14 total matches. They ended up leaving the tournament early, but in a season that seems like Peter is grinding the least on his trio, Ritual and Cold are 100% stepping up, and they have looked so crazy recently. If this team was on Con, I think I still would be pretty confident in them for being the best trio in the world, but I am honestly just hoping that this is the last week that we see Peterbot versus Pollo off spawn in a tournament, because even though it is fun to see them constantly go head to head with each other, I would just much rather enjoy them competing for FNCS wins instead of just off spawn bragging rights. Rise's new trio of Aviv and G-Money finished in 15th, Adria's Acorn and Puyo finished in 16th. I think the only way that the vibes become like bad on this trio again is if they get absolutely wiped by Peter's trio off spawn. I think a lot of us can probably agree that we don't think Adria's Acorn and Pollo are going to be sticking together by the time next year starts, and as soon as these guys can split, they're most likely going to, but I wouldn't say the vibes are necessarily like terrible or good between them right now. I would say they're kind of just mid. We had Bryce's new trio of Skittles and Joji in 22nd, Curve, Tyler, and Josh in 29th, and that was about it for all of the big names that were able to qualify. We only had a couple of big names outside of that qual range, like 39th place of Dukes, Edgy, and Chance. Violet and Pen and Zen finished in 41st. And then we also had like Bucky, Okus, and Virgo in 55th place, but this trio only played 14 total matches. They really weren't that worried at all about qualifying for NA because they are all going to be playing on West, but not with each other. For how I think the off-spawn fight between Peterbot and Pollo is going to go, I think I have to lean in the favor of Peter this week, and I think he is going to win 4-2 off spawn. Last week I predicted him to go 3-3 off spawn, and that is exactly what happened. But I don't know, I've just been a little bit off about Pollo, Acorn, and Adria's recently, and I think Peter is going to win 4-2 this week. For my actual top 5 predictions though, in 5th place I'm going to go with the trio of Booga, Threats, and Craze. These guys finished in 4th place last week, so a little bit of a downgrade for them this week, but I do still think they are a top 5 team on the region potentially. 4th place I'm going to go with Mud, Shadow, and Sphinx. These guys have looked so good in the opens, so good in every single Eval Cup finals they have played together, winning a game in each of them, and now I think this is where they break into that top 5 in the Div Cup finals and finish in 4th place. 3rd place I'm going to go with Reed Cooper and Curly. These guys seem to almost be a lock every single week for a top 3 in the finals, and I think they are going to get back-to-back weeks in 3rd place. 2nd place, I think they do still continue their hot streak. I'm gonna go with the team of Khanada, Bolts, and Rapid. Even though there might be some potential drama looming up in the air for this trio, I was really impressed from what I saw from them in week 1. They were literally able to win half of the games in that tournament, but I don't think they're gonna beat out the trio of Clicks, Iamzo, and Higgs. I think Clicks' trio has still looked so good in every tournament they played. A lot of people could literally argue they would have won last week if Iamzo didn't end up crashing, so I think this is the week that they get the job done and win the last Div Cup of the season. I want to show you guys some clips of how broken this brand new item is in the game right now. A lot of the pros are either calling it like the pom-pom or like the crow item, but this thing needs to get taken out as soon as possible. Fortnite, please do not allow us to have a set lobby finals with this item in. All right, now let's move on to how EU went. Now in EU, this finals is about to tell us so much going forwards. The team that was in 1st place though was Fastroki, Ainkido, and Bevies. They finished with 912 points, won 5 out of their 19 matches, and believe it or not, were the only team to break 200 elims, finishing with 209 elims. Now, Bevies might not be the best human, but still pretty intrigued at how good this trio is actually going to look in the finals. 2nd place is one of our trios trying to qualify for LAN, and a team that has looked so good recently of Sky, Scroll, and Thomas HD. They finished with 816 points, won 4 out of their 17 matches, and got 159 elims as well. These guys also look like they currently have a fully uncontested rainbow split, so I am very excited to see what they can actually do with this split completely uncontested in the finals. Third place was the trio of Chap, Mr. Savage, and Rezon. This team finished with 814 points, won 3 out of their 19 matches, and finished with the second most elims in this tournament with 197. Now on day 2, their W King performance wasn't as insane as it was in day 1, but they were still able to get multiple 14 plus elimination games. This team literally had an average of 10.3 elims a game. Unfortunately, as we're gonna go over it later, they are currently contested off spawn by the team that finished in 30th place of Rickbor, Belusi, and Zangi at the resistance base. So I don't necessarily have like the highest hope for them placement wise in the finals as of right now, but I think this is a must perform well off spawn week for this trio. This team cannot lose like 4-2 or 5-1 off spawn to Belusi's trio. They need to go at least even, and preferably probably 4-2 versus them. They need to scare this trio away, and they need to try to get this POI completely uncontested going into FNCS now. Fourth place is one of our first brand new trios this high of Seti, Yapko, and Panzer. This is probably my favorite team out of the Cammy and Seti split. I definitely do currently like Seti's trio a lot more. They finished with 811 points, won 4 out of their 19 matches, and got 123 elims as well. It's looking like as of right now though, unfortunately, both Cammy and Seti's brand new trios are both going to be contested in the finals. So that really does suck that we're not going to get any real glimpse on how good these trios could actually be. Literally until FNCS starts, I still can't believe that there's only 2 Div Cups this season. Fifth place is a trio that I feel like 100% had to make their mark this week of Pigstorm and Demas. They finished with 809 points, won 2 out of their 16 matches. Like the last 2 trios we talked about though, this team is also most likely going to be contested in the finals as well. And for a team that has had a very slow start to this season, I have no clue how we are actually going to be projecting these guys to go forwards, because they're coming off of getting 3rd place in Grands. But the only notable achievement that this team has in this entire season so far is winning a single game in the Eval Cup. This is their first Div Cup that they're able to qualify for. They've only qualified for 1 Eval Cup in general this season, so we are only going to get to see 1 Eval Cup when they were conned and 1 Div Cup where they're conned for their performance before FNCS this entire season. 6th place is Venia, Pixie, and Marius, the reigning defending FNCS champions. Probably have to be the favorites for the Cash Cup finals this week as well. But you might be surprised on where I am actually going to be predicting these guys. 7th place is Pink, Nebs, and Kiro, a team that continues to look so good. This is such a good Div Cup team as well. 100% expect a top 5 out of them this week. 8th place is the other brand new trio of iDrop, Cammy, and Hari on 751. Now this team had a lot better of a fragging day today than they did yesterday. They literally almost ended up tying Seti, Yapko, and Panzer for total elims. Cammy's new trio finished with 122 elims, and Seti's trio finished with 123. I do still think though that iDrop, Hari, and Cammy's fragging ability is going to be relatively limited in a set lobby finals, but I do think that their consistency is majorly going to carry them and why they will still be a threat to qualify for LAN this season. 9th place is Burke, and then rounding out the top 10 is a trio that needs a big week of Vico, Vino, and Flixie. This is a pretty stacked finals though. Like in 11th place, we have the trio of Comeback Shark and Blaha, coming off of a very solid week 1 and hoping to build off of that into week 2 now as well. 12th place, the wild card potential FNCS winners of this season of Pablo, Chino, and Ferdoxy, going into their first set lobby finals this season with a completely uncontested Supernova Academy. Pingwalks and Malibuka in 14th, Focus, Mixin, and Upbull in 15th, Dexy, Eclipse, and Twy in 18th, Queasy, Murstache, and Sato in 19th. I'm gonna have to say this every single video until Swizzy is back, but no, Queasy and Murstache did not drop Swizzy. Swizzy is just currently trying to get his visa, and he will not be back until FNCS time officially starts. And then that was about it for all of the big names that were able to qualify. Some people that we had just outside that top 33 is like 38th place of Frisk, Tayson, and Chicho. They played so much better today than they did yesterday. They literally finished 5th place overall today after being in like 130th yesterday. It just unfortunately was not enough. And our LAN trio of Tayson, Hris, and Chicho are not going to be in the last Div Cup of the season. So I don't know how I skipped over them, but that does mean that the trio in 16th place of Vadil, Cringe, and Volko are finally going to get an uncontested Crime City. We do have some other big names though, like 89th place of Trulex, Teeny, and Skavi, Moneymaker in 92nd, and then unfortunately in 171st place, I think this this is probably going to go down as by far their worst performance as a trio together of Mongrel, Kaido, and Haijo. They only finished with 296 points in 20 total matches. They just absolutely speed ran through their games on day 2. This trio really showed no flashes of what they have been showing pretty much the entirety of the season in yesterday's tournament and today's tournament. And I went from saying that this is like a no doubt grand finals team because they look so good to really starting to get concerned about these guys. This is where only having 2 div cups is majorly going to hurt teams like this because they will really never get to know how good they actually are in set lobby finals, since in the first week they were contested every single game, ended up losing 5-1 off spawn, and then in the only other week that they were going to be able to get super good set lobby finals experience, they were not even close to being able to qualify. I really don't know what was the difference in this trio from today and yesterday compared to how they looked in the eval cup or even last week in the opens, where I'm pretty sure they finished like top 15, but this is just definitely not the performance that I expected out of these guys. All right, let's take a look at the drop map and go over my top 5 predictions for the finals. So there is a lot of people at Acorn that I went over throughout this video. So starting off with in my 5th place spot for my predictions, I'm gonna go with the trio of Pink, Nebs, and Kiro. Now to me, these guys are a consistent top 5 team on the region, especially in cash cups, and I think they'll be able to continue that streak this week as well. 4th place, I got the trio of Vico, Vino, and Flixie. Now I don't want to be the one to say it, but this team is honestly close to getting themselves put onto the ban list. I literally predicted them to win last week, and I don't even think they finished inside of the top 10 with a completely uncontested brutal boxcars. If this team doesn't have a single top 5 in divisional cups going into FNCS, I don't know how confident I can actually be in them going forwards. Let's move on to my top 3. In 3rd place, I'm gonna go with the team that is finally uncontested this week of Pablo, Chino, and Ferdoxy. I just feel like I haven't seen this team really dominate a lobby since grand finals, so I'm kind of hesitant to put them in like a potential winning option, but I do still think they will finish inside of the top 3. And then my top 2 might be a surprise to you guys. In 2nd place, I'm gonna go with the team of Venya, Pixie, and Marius. I think Queasy, Murstache, and Sato being in this lobby are really going to impact Venya on height this week, and I think they'll have a couple of rough games which will lead them to not being able to win the cash cup overall. I still think that Venya, Pixie, and Marius are always guaranteed for at least 1 win in the set lobby finals, especially when uncontested. But this week I am going to believe in the trio of Malibuca, Ping, and Wox. They are finally fully uncontested at Demon's Domain. They are a trio that honestly look like one of the best teams in the world last grand finals on day 1, and I am going to predict them to win the last EU Div Cup of the season. Other than that though, remember, let me know your guys' own top 5 predictions in the comment section down below. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications if you guys are new, as we are less than 700 subs away from 110,000 subscribers. If you guys want to support me even more, especially when buying the Squid Game skins, please use code KDOG in the Fortnite item shop. YouTube says enjoy one of these 2 videos up on the screen right now, so go check them out if you guys haven't already. Follow me on my Twitter and my Twitch, linked in the description down below. Thank God for another day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.